these friends who have a boy, and I mean, it's just he's taking stuff and hitting him like, come on, man, what's the deal? So different. Hey.
Also the son of type 1 diabetic, and I am now the father of a type 1 diabetic. So this is my story. Many parents out there remember the terrible twos, right? Well, my wife Jackie and I experienced the terrible twos as well, but we also experienced some other traits. Our son Nicholas was fairly predictable. He was a very predictable child that turned into sudden behavior outbursts, waking up irritable 4 to 5 times every night, soaked diapers multiple times each night. Mommy, I'm thirsty. Questions came and came and came. This went on for a few weeks, and of course my red flags went up. And Jackie and I talked about it, and we thought, gosh, why is he so thirsty so much? And we thought, could he be? Or is this just the regular experiences of having a 2-year-old? And I always had it in the back of my mind that it wasn't if he was going to get diabetes, but just when. So the day before we were set to go on vacation, we thought, gosh, if there's really something wrong with Nicholas, we don't want to be away from home. So what we did was we headed to his pediatrician, and as the meter counted down when they checked his blood sugar, it seemed to go very, very slowly, like a scene from a Hollywood movie. 3, 2, 1. Then bam! His blood sugar was 560. And after a few days, yeah, that's exactly what I said, but I used some explicative. But after a few days at Children's Mercy, we left there feeling exhausted emotionally and overwhelmed with the thought of what lied ahead for us. Diabetes is a very personal and individual thing. And I know that I can handle it, but how are we going to do it for our son? We do feel very blessed to have great health insurance, to live in a place that has an outstanding children's hospital, as well as a tremendous endocrinology department. We thought of all the parents like us that don't have the resources that we do at our disposal. And, even though I had personal experience with diabetes, this was our 2-year-old son. And we were still feeling overwhelmed. So how would those other people ever be able to do it? Now let me take you back a few years to May of 1973. A young couple, very similar to Jackie and I, very excited to bring their first child into the world, introduced him to the family, and they wondered as well, how long would these sleepless nights go on? That couple was my parents. And I remember them telling me that for the first 7 months, I did not sleep through the night one time. I was cranky all the time and had this unquenchable thirst, so much so that they stopped giving me the bottle and they would just give me a sponge filled with water that I would suck dry. So they finally thought, you know what, this is not normal for an infant. And they took me to the emergency room. There, the doctor heard their story, and he stuck his pinky into my wet diaper. And he tasted it.
What?
1973, not 2011. 1973, all right? But he thought by doing this, he would be able to tell if I was spilling sugar into my urine or not. And I was. So what ended up happening was they actually took my blood sugar, and the test came back and my blood sugar was over 1,000.
No.
The doctor then told my parents, you know something, if you would not have brought him in, he would not have slept through the night. He would not have made it through the night.
Wow.
You know, the times have certainly changed, and science and medicine was very different 38 years ago as well. There were no home blood glucose monitors, certainly no insulin pumps. My parents had to check my urine levels, the ketones in my urine levels, every couple of hours, and then plot those on graph paper so that they could take them to the doctor. They also gave me upwards to 5 to 6 insulin shots each day. And at one point, my parents went to try to get life insurance on me, and they were turned down every time. One agency in particular, they told them no, but they also looked my parents in the eye and said, you know what, if your son lives past 5, come back, we'll insure it. Wow.
Wow.
And I can remember going to birthday parties as a kid and not being able to eat the frosting on the top of the birthday cake. Today, obviously the advancements in personal products is outstanding. You know, where Nicholas, he gets no shots because he has a pump. And of course we finger stick him for blood sugars, but he also has the continuous glucose monitor, right, that gives us blood sugar averages every 5 minutes. And with the pump, he can and he does eat that frosting on the top of birthday cake.
I love it.
He even likes to go to the donut store on Saturday mornings. I'll take him there every once in a while so that Mom gets to sleep in on Sundays. Now, 2 years after his diagnosis, diabetes is so much of who he is and what we do. He is what you would expect a normal 4-year-old to be. Plus, he has diabetes. We parent him as though you would parent your 4-year-old, and as if he is no different from his friends. But in reality, he is different. When we leave the house, we don't just take the backpack and a couple of toys. I mean, we take those. But we obviously have to have a quick-acting sugar, just in case he has a low blood sugar, a snack, our own sugar-free drink, which at the house, Orange Crystal Light is a huge favorite, and his blood glucose machine, the book of carb grams, which lists, you know, for over 1,000 foods, and of course, you know, carbs, there's an app for that today, right? Diabetes affects your whole world. Family, friends, teachers, play dates. And you need to compensate appropriately. We can't send him to just any preschool. So we found one that's willing to partner with us on his carb intakes, testing his blood sugars, and administering the use of his pump. And when it comes to date nights, the babysitter just can't be the 13-year-old girl down the street. Whether it's his grandparents or a parent at play dates, there's an additional layer of care that there is no vacation from. And I went to diabetes camp as a kid. I also volunteered for diabetes camps when I was out of college. And then when my wife and I moved here 4 years ago, this last summer, I decided that I'd volunteer again and take a week's vacation from work to volunteer at the camp here in Kansas City. And it's a great week. I mean, there's nearly 150 kids out there, ages ranging from 7 to 15. All of them have diabetes. Last year I was a counselor for the youngest boys cabin, ages 7 to 8, and on Friday when we left, I was completely exhausted. And on the last day, I'll share a story with you. On the last day, as all the kids were waiting for their parents to show up and come get them, I was sitting talking to one of my 8-year-olds, Zach. And I asked him, I said, Zach, are you going to come to camp next year? And he said, well, duh, of course. And I thought, well, what is it you like about camp, Zach? He said, well, because everyone here is just like me. Not at school, not even at home do they know what it's like. But here, I can be just like everybody else for 1 week.
Yeah.